dun, dun, dun. Let's see. Hello, Pablo. Just doing one little thing on the side, and then I'll continue working on this. Come on. There we go. Close that. Alright. Let's get this underway. Sorry in advance if stream freezes or crashes. Working on that. I'm already used to you being a deer. You can never be too used to the fact. Given the shit that I'm used to, I'm pretty sure I can be. Okay, so you're first. Should be quick enough. There we go. Ooh, really? Is that the color? Yeah, that's the color. Yeah, definitely need to change my setup. The way I have my monitors is not helping me. Luckily, I don't really need to know. Just working on commissions. And if the next commission after that is too risque, then I'll work on something else. Was thinking of working on work in progress pics for the Blake thing to help it along. Hope everyone's doing alright. Work on a butt size chart for the character. Jesus. Do you know how many characters that would be if I were to be 100% accurate? There was like one pig. Where, let me find it. I think I can. Yeah, I should be able to show it. There's nothing to see. specifically. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I think it's in here. Ah, here it is. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna avoid showing that just in case. But there was like one time I did like a butt comparison with a couple characters. This is like a really old pick, but did a butt comparison with like 3 characters at the time. But yeah, I definitely need to do more butt artwork and like, you know, more adult versions of that. So I'll make it a point to dive into that in the future. Okay, so that's your hair. Next. And be sure to save after everything I do, just so I don't lose my goddamn mind. I need to delete that. Oh yeah, her tail's there. I'll have to color that afterwards. Delete that. I think that's what I said. There we go. I was playing Fortnite earlier. Playing Pokemon. A 100 is very lowballing it. But yeah, I was playing Pokemon Moon. And I bought Ultra Sun since it has the other 5 Pokemon, I think it was, added to it. So I'll play through that and then get everybody. Because I want Pokemon Sun and Moon to be like the last games that I have that have every Pokemon in it. And then I can do whatever I can for Sword and Shield, and then I haven't gotten Violet or Scarlet yet, so if I decide to get those games, I will migrate as many Pokemon as I can off of Pokemon Home, because I do not want them to be there anymore. If I can, I would love to transfer them back to Sun and Moon. I don't think I can, but I haven't tried, so I'm gonna see if that's doable. I don't think it is, but better to check than not. Because like Pokemon Home is still, or Home and Bank, well, not Home, but I know Bank is still available if you've already downloaded it, and it's also free. But I don't think you can transfer them from Home to Bank or Home to the games directly. But that's why my main goal is to remove them from Home ASAP, so it doesn't even matter the version anymore. It just, the whole point is to get them off of Home. So if they end up getting separated via games, then so be it. That's why I'm going through the hassle of recollecting them all on Moon, and then playing Ultra Sun to get the last 5. Scarlet and Violet don't have Home yet. Spank Bank. Yeah, I wonder what their thoughts were when they called it Pokemon Bank. Like, I'm pretty sure there was a hidden meaning to that. But that thing is free now, so. But I'm pretty sure there was some ulterior thoughts on that naming. Okay, let me do this color real quick for the tail. But yeah, I'm just kind of bitter on the whole Pokemon are not going to be in the same game still. But I'm just kind of accepting, like, you know what, I'm just going to redo all the progress and stuff like that I did on Moon. And then I got Ultra Sun since it has extra content and stuff like that. And I'm just going to either transfer them all to that or redo it again through whatever method I have to do. And then go from there. I know, right? I love Totodile. Like, the fact it's like, oh, we got Gator Pokemon. I was like, fuck yeah. Gator / Crocodile, whatever you want to see them as. It doesn't matter. Love them either way. Choice of a color. You know what? Let's just make this a dark brown so that way it's not like super black. There we go. What color are these? Same thing. Okay. Yeah, the opposite color. Yeah, like I usually get the opposite of whoever I'm usually playing the games with, whether it be friends or my brother. But in Sun and Moon's case, my brother, I don't think he got the games. Because I think he's kind of like tapped out of Pokemon since then. But my friend had gotten Sun, so I got Moon. And then now I got Ultra Sun since I already had Moon. I didn't want to just get Ultra Moon. So I was like, I'll just get Sun. Worst case scenario, I buy Moon, or Ultra Moon, to get all the other Pokemon, but whatever. I'm not hung up on the methods, honestly, because I had already done that. It's like I already got them legitimately in the past. I'm not exactly hung up on, oh, you didn't get them legally. It's like, if getting them legally just means I had to go to a store to get the little card thing, then whatever, because I had already done that for Moon and other versions in the past. I went through my journey. But yeah, mostly just wanted to make sure I get everything. You're off to bed? Alright, you take care. Have a good night. Hopefully this won't take too long to do. Save. And I need the other colors. Oops, wrong one. Doesn't. Do they have a color for this? No, so we'll just use this one. Okay, you're done on that side. Next. So that's on your other reference. Yes and no. That's okay, I'll still do it. Do. thing. Just checking. See, you have this color. And we need this for your eyes. Information? No. So use this one. Hey, Grot Lover. Really? This is your first time chatting? Weird. Okay, I think I got everything here. Moving on. Don't usually do Twitch. No worries. That's why I post this stuff on YouTube. And then I'm going to try to get back into posting on Picardo on Sunday. Kind of curious about Kick. See where that rabbit hole goes. Yeah, it's basically like Twitch, only it gives creators a much bigger cut of subscriptions and stuff like that, or whatever financial stuff. And currently, their rules are a little bit more lax than Twitch. And like the whole goal at the moment is that they're trying not to be like Twitch, so they're trying to be lax with their rules, but still, like, you know, enforce them when necessary. And they're trying to like establish a premise where if they have their rules the way they have them, and, you know, they enforcing them the way they enforce them, then to not, you know, change in the future, because if they do, then they're just going to end up being another Twitch, and it's just going to piss other creators off. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But yeah, I'll have to look into it more, but from what I understand, that's pretty much the case with it. Because I don't have a problem streaming on there. I just need to know what I can and cannot stream. There was a case that where some idiot decided to go on to Pornhub during his stream, and he got a bit in trouble with that. So, because the people were like, dude, come on. Especially when it wasn't like... Well, because like when he did the Pornhub thing, he just did it like unprovoked or anything, or like, you know, he didn't like give any warning or whatever. He just randomly decided to do it. And everyone was like, "Dude, your audience is I think his audience was mostly kids or whatever." But everyone was like, "Dude, what the hell? Don't fuck this over," when they barely started. And yeah, and like one of their biggest things is that they're trying not to submit to like advertisers or banks or whatever the case may be, because they're like self-funded at the moment, or if they do have investors, they're trying to not like let their investors dictate how things run. So it'll be interesting to see how it is handled. But currently, I believe, if I remember correctly, I believe the split for creators is 95%. So creators get 95% while Kick gets 5%, if I remember right. So yeah, might look into that. But yeah, like it's a good thing if they create another streaming service because the more that there are, the better the services get in terms of competition and all that. Because if the other companies want to be relevant, they have to change things around and either improve things for both creators and viewers, or suck it up when another streaming service does it better. But yeah, might be something I look into. I just need to read their terms and all that just to make sure I am allowed to stream certain things. Because from what I understand, yes, they have rulings against mature content, but they're not like super enforcing it at the moment. It's more of a case by case basis for them at the moment. So it's like, obviously, if you're streaming really fucked up shit, then definitely they're gonna lay the hammer down. But at the moment, they're kind of like whatever. But like I said, I'll have to look into it because I'm not just gonna just assume that I can stream the risque content. And your claws and all that are the same color. But yeah, who knows? And there's not like anything keeping me from doing multiple services. Can switch things around depending on occasions or situations, blah blah blah. Maybe on Saturdays I'll do kick or whatever. I don't know. Whatever the situation calls for. Why'd I hop on? Twitch was mostly due to the UI and stuff like that they have, like the functionality and stuff like that. That I feel is easier to use than Picardo, especially for like viewers and all that. But I do use Picardo still because Picardo allows mature content. So on Sundays or Saturdays or whatever day I decide, if I feel like streaming myself drawing something risque, I can still use Picardo for that. Yeah, it's just a, whatever function I need, I will use that service for that function. Same thing goes for like art programs. If I feel I need another art program to do something very specific, then I'll use it. But luckily, Clip Studio has most, if not everything I need. And you have those under your hands too. God damn it. I gotta fix that. I was like, where's my cursor? There you go. Well, right now, people are going to YouTube more because Twitch kind of screwed them over with their revenue split. Because recently Twitch switched it from 70-30, where creators would get 70%, to 50-50. So now they lose money if they use Twitch, based on their previous arrangements and all that. In terms of risque stuff, yeah, Picardo is more useful with their rulings. Because it's like, okay, we allow adult content. I'm like, well, you're already better. So if I ever feel like streaming mature content, I can use Picardo. And if you use Picardo's premium service, it automatically records your videos, which is really goddamn useful. So does Twitch, but for whatever fucking reason, Twitch's videos are like much more memory heavy than Picardo's. So I have to compress it a lot of the time. I compress Picardo's too, but Picardo's isn't nearly as huge. So yeah, I wish Twitch was better on that. And then I haven't really streamed on YouTube. I think I did like once or twice. But if I do decide to move over to YouTube, then it'll basically just be the same thing that I do on Twitch, just safe for work content. Unless, well, that depends, because some content on YouTube can be mature. There's just levels of it that I have to abide by and make sure I don't overstep. Companies and their rulings get really fucking annoying. Because it's like, no, you can't do mature content. I'm like, okay, but then it's like, okay, but you can do mature content, but it has to be this way. But then they have like yoga videos and other, air quotes, educational videos of men and women showing off their bodies doing stuff. And I'm just sitting there going like, so we can or can't do this? Because that's when it gets fucking confusing, when they can't figure out the levels of mature content. And ultimately, none of the companies actually give a shit about the mature content. They only care because banks are fucking pissy about mature content, even though they're fucking banks and they shouldn't be giving a shit about mature content. People will spend their money on whatever the fuck they want to spend their money on. Like, why are they dictating what people spend their money on? Hey, Alex. Yeah, I know it's an insurance thing, but it's still dumb. Because their only purpose is to receive or give back and secure money, and I guess invest in some cases. They're not supposed to be like, oh well, you know, we can't let people buy titties. I'm like, why? It makes way more money than most fucking things in the world. Not safe for work content has the highest chargeback. Well, yeah. Like, obviously there's that. Like, if people are, you know, illegally doing refunds and stuff like that, yeah, you definitely tackle that. But that has nothing to do with, like, you know, people actually buying the content legitimately. Like, obviously, if people are trying to, you know, steal money and stuff like that, yes, 100%, you know, do what you gotta do to secure that. Or, you know, make sure people don't do that. And, you know, whatever resources you need in order to pursue it and all that, you know, do what you gotta do. But don't, like, blanket the entirety of the content creators just because certain people are fucking assholes. Yeah, I think the case with YouTube is, like, even if you do have your video content labeled correctly and all that, obviously it's going to get moved over to, like, restricted or demonetized content. And obviously, depending on the content creator and all that, some are willing to take that bullet just so they can have the content that they want to have. So whether they either don't make money or make less money because their ads are restricted from that particular video, you know, it's a case-by-case thing. But obviously, if they want all their videos to be 100% monetized, then they have to skirt around what they can do to keep the green dollar sign. Because the yellow dollar sign doesn't mean you don't gain any money. It just means your ads are more restricted. And you would get less money for that particular video. Yeah. And I can understand that, like, the insurance might cost them more money. But, it's just one of those things where it's like, if you're trying to make your service more fair and usable, I think sometimes you're just gonna have to take that bullet. And then, if you're already in a business where you're making a shit ton of money, or you're producing a lot of finances, then you should be able to take those losses. Like, I think that's one of the issues I have with certain companies, is like, they're not willing to take losses if it means a better outcome of their services. They just want to make all the money under the sun. And so they do, like, shady practices, which, you know, ultimately hurts them in the end, because it's like, you know, if people don't like what you're doing, then they're just going to pull out, which would basically just be the downside of your actions to begin with. It's like, oh, we were trying to prevent this, and now we caused our own destruction. Kind of like what happened with Tumblr, where it was like, oh, we're gonna remove risque content, and that literally fucked themselves. Like, I don't know if they've recovered since then, since they said, oh, we're bringing it back, just, you know, with whatever tags that need to be done or whatever, but they screwed themselves over when they did that. And OnlyFans almost did the same thing. But OnlyFans became smarter and just, you know, went through services that allow them to have adult content. So now OnlyFans is fine. Those are some precision bruise straps. I know. Normally there would be more, but I'm trying to not have that on stream. But if the commissioner asks me to, then I will put the necessary details. Should be good on everything but the straps. The great pullout. I know, right? Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I feel like people just need to stop trying to, like, if they're already making tons of money, why would they make it worse for themselves over some nonsense that they don't even give a shit about to begin with? And, well, I guess I put these two together. There. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not in that circle, so who knows? And let's go to you real quick. And I'm just gonna take this color and do something with this color. Maybe make it gold or something. Or like a orangish color. But yeah, it's just one of those situations where it's like, this is just dumb and it shouldn't have happened in the first place. And we're letting too many companies dictate how people run their lives. Especially when, you know, all you really need to do is just regulate accordingly. And then there you go. Obviously, don't have certain content just out there in the open for kids to find. If it's like, if you make it difficult for kids to obtain, then there you go. You've done your job. You know, with like age gating and other stuff. But after that point, if kids figure out how to get to that content after all those precautions, then that's not on the companies, that's on the parents. Or the kids, technically. Because obviously all of us have found means of finding risque content when we were not old enough. Muscles, I know, right? Yeah. And don't worry, Captain, I know. Yeah, yours will be worked on after the initial ones. Already been thinking of what to draw for it. But yeah. Censorship sucks. Well, I mean, it's not technically censorship, but it's just baby nonsense. I hate the phrase where they're like, "Oh, we're trying to be family friendly." I was like, what does that even mean? Especially in YouTube's case, when the FCC, I think it was the FCC, was going on them about, kids use their services and they have whatever content, and they're like, "Oh, well, we're family friendly." I was like, "Okay, but you have YouTube Kids, so why are you trying to turn YouTube into YouTube Kids? You literally have this YouTube Kids for this exact problem. So fucking use it." Like, that was literally the point of YouTube Kids. And granted, I'm not saying YouTube should allow, like, straight up porn and all that if they don't want to. But like, the problems that they have with the FCC, it was just kind of like, you shouldn't have gotten in trouble for this because you literally had an option to get out of it, and you somehow fucked that up. It's like, I don't even know how you did that. But at the same time, mature content shouldn't be so heavily screwed over just because people can't watch their goddamn kids. Or that certain advertisers are trying to control YouTube. Because at the end of the day, YouTube is is pretty much the biggest platform for people to view content. So if advertisers want to sell their advertisement and make money, of course they're going to use YouTube. YouTube should not have caved to their demands, because ultimately YouTube had the power there, and YouTube fucked up because they got scared. That was literally a knee-jerk reaction. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's how I feel in the situation. Okay, you're good. You're good, you're good. Alright. This is a bit of a different situation compared to the other commissions that I do. There's you. But yeah, like I said, other services like Kick might stir things up, so we'll see where that goes. One big thing that comes to my mind, I'm trying to... Yeah, turning off comments for I mean, I understand why they did that, but that shouldn't apply to everything. Because like the reason why they did that, or at least one of the reasons I should say, was certain videos that had kids on them, like kid actors or kid content, whatever the case may be. Some comic sections would would put in timestamps, and those timestamps were basically like paused frames or screens or whatever, and it would show those kids in like suggestive positions and stuff like that. So they were basically using them or using the comment section for pedophiles. So that is why they did that for kid content. Yeah, and so it was kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Like that I understand. That like it sucks, but I understand why they did that. Because it sucks where you want to, look at like a cartoon scene from like the old days, and then you want to see the comments for people's reaction for people who haven't seen it or have seen it and have like a take on whatever the show was. But then you look at the comment section and it's turned off, and you're like, well, great, I don't get to dip into people's minds about whatever the content is. So that gets annoying. But I understand why that is the case. But I don't know, because like in those situations, there really isn't anything you can do about that, because it's gonna happen whether you like it or not. And like I'm sure there's like websites or whatever that will list timestamps or whatever for that kind of content anyway. So, but I mean, obviously it wouldn't be on YouTube, or if it is on YouTube, it's probably in like another section of YouTube that either that YouTube hasn't touched or hasn't reached or regulated. So it is what it is. Hydrate. All right. Do I have water? Yes, I do. All right. Hydrated. Ran out of water, but I'm hydrated. Eventually, I'll switch around the goals a bit, so that way, once I make Becky with more costumes, can have fun with that. Yeah, like it's hard to really address it, because it's like, even if websites do everything possible, there's always some kind of loophole or some kind of back way of manipulating the rules and stuff like that. And companies can only do so much, and the other factor has to be, parents, paying attention. And as well as people not trying to use the law for situations where the law isn't, or can't do anything, or isn't necessary for the particular situation. So like, for example, I don't know, let's just say you try to call the police and say, oh, so and so said a bad word on YouTube. Like, the police is just gonna look at you and go like, okay, and like, don't waste their time when you actually need them for something bigger. I have no idea about the muscle structure. They gave me a reference, and I was just trying to go off of that as much as I could, but like also make their bodies work as much as I could. Like the muscle anatomy and all that. I'd show you the reference, but it has stuff showing, so I can't put it on here. But yeah, like, I was trying to I was trying to make the bodies as doable as possible in the poses that they asked me, because like I could show this. Where is it? Because like for the poses, this is what I got for the poses, and I'm like, some of this is going to be heavily inaccurate because of the muscles that the characters had, or from the references I was given. Because like even the way that I drew them, the characters were way more jacked than this, but like all the references were different, so like they weren't always this jacked in all their references. So I had to like cherry pick how I was gonna draw them and in what way, because like some of them don't even have the same features that they do in the other references. So I just kind of had to pick my poison. The main quadricep muscle. I'll be honest, I do not know the terminology for a lot of the muscles. Can you be more layman's terms? I'll be honest, I do not know the names of the muscles. I'm sitting on 26k right now. Yeah, I'm just going off of the references that they gave me for each of the characters. So if something's off, then it was probably due to the reference. The big fleshy one in the front of the thigh. Oh, let me grab a different colored pen. Because I thought that was what you were talking about, but I wasn't sure. Are you talking about this area? Or this area here? Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah, that's just how the reference was when they gave it to me. Like, I understand that's not how... That's why in old Western comics, people would joke about superheroes having butt thighs. Yeah, that I'm fully aware of. But that was the reference they gave me. So I went off of it. Yeah, I figured that was going to be the one that you would notice. Because I'm sitting there looking at it going like, I know someone's going to say something. But yeah, it is supposed to be more prominent. But I mean, if they ask me to change it, I'll change it. So I don't have a problem with that. I just didn't want to like do something that I wasn't asked to do. I mean, for all I know, they probably want them more muscular. Who knows? So we'll see what happens. Luckily, this isn't a style that can be easily changed. Takes a bit of work, but it's doable. Sometimes I wonder if doing all of this is necessary for this particular style. I'll have to experiment sometime. I need to experiment more. Just been kind of anxious, or not anxious, but just I want to improve my style more. More jacked, please. Oh, you liked how I did muscle shy? I was calling her buffer shy for a while. Muscle shy is a good one though. And then if I have time, I'll probably work on a work in progress of Blake's drive, and then tease it to help it along. If not, then I'll save it for a stream. Alright, you have a good night. May the fat guy guide you. The Dimewell Trust. If it was Blake Sinclair, the Sinclair Trust would have worked so well. But yeah, I'm saving up for a new computer, so definitely gonna crack the whip on some works in progress. I would have done them sooner, but I figured I'd just crank out the first pick and just post it. But I mean, the whole point is that they're supposed to be made once each goal is made, but I don't have a problem making roughs of them. And if it doesn't get funded, it doesn't get funded. Like, I'm not gonna go crazy over that. It's like, oh no, it didn't work out. I'm like, yeah, that just means do something else. Like, okay. It's like, what? Nobody wanted Fat Bunny? Okay, we'll get Fat Dragon or Fat Cat or whatever the fuck characters I have. More Fat Foxes. Or maybe if Fat's not working out, we'll do another theme. Robot versions of the characters. I don't know. Everyone's roboticized. That'd be interesting. Metal Skylar. Or Metal Daylock. That'd be kind of cool. Who doesn't want to see a bigger Easter bun? Speaking of which, I have been asked to dress up as the Easter Bunny on Sunday, so that would be fun. Wish I had one of those thick bodysuit thingies to help fluff out the figure more. Make it a bit of a chubby bun, but whatever I can work with. Yeah, but I have rabbit legs this now, so well, not like fursuit legs or anything like that, although that would be ideal. But I had gotten like a cheap Easter costume and like cut off the arms and replace the tail, because the tail that it originally had was garbage. Did that so that way I could wear the red suit along with it. Turn up as Mallow. I did that for Halloween at a daycare. I kind of got in trouble for that. And I told them I wouldn't do that again. I'll just come as something tamer this year. So. Well, I don't know. It was more like kind of like a preschool, I guess, too. It's like one of those, but most of the kids didn't have a problem with it. Maybe like 2 were kind of iffy, but most of the kids were completely fine with it. But like the teachers were the ones that's, well, not the teachers, a teacher spazzed out about it, I should say. It was one teacher, she got all pissy about it, and so I was asked to not dress as that next time. Oh, a preschool, much better. Oh, baby, don't hurt me no more. But most of the time I just get asked questions by kids, or they think it's cool. And then it was like a Halloween thing, so I was like, okay, are we gonna dress up as scary things? Like, what are we doing here? But that's okay, I was asked not to, so I will go as the Easter Bunny for Halloween, if it's at their area again. I will go as the bunny. This is why I have multiple costumes for different situations. I remember the first rabbit suit I had with the really ugly mask, the ugly rabbit mask, and kids kept asking me if I was a serial killer. And I was just sitting there going like, really? This is what I get? You have to show off your bunny legs. I think I have before. If not, I'll post a picture of it, because I have one from last year's Halloween of me just posing by a Easter background that my friend's family had set up. That was a fun time. Everybody doing stuff for Easter, and they asked me to hide eggs. So like for the little kids, I put eggs in like easy places, and for the older kids and adults. Well, I don't think any of the adults played, but the older, like the teens and all that, or young adults, I was hiding the eggs with money in like crazy places, and it took them a while to find them all. Like one of them was on like the second story balcony, but like I had like jumped up and grabbed the ledge, and then hid the egg like right at the corner of the ledge, just barely out of sight. So that was fun. I think I'll get to do that again this year. So I'm gonna have a fun time doing that. But yeah, if I ever get the chance, if I would definitely use like more fursuit like legs for the bunny outfit, because that would be much more useful. Okay, I think you're pretty much done on that end. Your turn. And then my falcon mask is pretty much done. They're just waiting for it to cure, which from what I've read it takes about a month to cure properly. So it should be coming at the end of the month. So happy about that. I just gotta come up with a good enough outfit for it. And then there's another outfit I want to do that's pretty cheap. I just gotta get all the necessary pieces for it. Because I got a Common Rider belt, so I want to use it for that outfit. Make up my own Common Rider. Am I a serial killer? Want to find out? Hello, Jet. Yeah, I'm doing alright. Oh yeah, kids love my outfits. Like when I dressed up as the maid and didn't say anything for the entirety of the night, they were more curious about me, so they just kept like asking me questions, and I would just gesture. And then one girl, she thought my outfit was great, so she kept like showing me off to like her parents and other kids and stuff like that, and I would just wave. So that was cute. And then there was one Halloween I went where I was dressed up as the maid, and it was at a high school. Or no, it was at a no. Yeah, it was at a high school, and there were two other girls dressed up as maids, and I just gestured like I was like, "Excuse me, you two dressed up as maids," and they were like, "It was her idea," and they were just fighting over like whose idea it was to dress up as maids. So that was funny. What is Mallow? Mallow is a okay. For starters, it's one of the story creature things, and Mallow is a virus that is an app, and the whole point of it is that it tracks where you are, and then sends you pictures, and the pictures are of places that you have been to, but then it slowly starts sending you pictures of locations that you have been to recently, until the point where it's sending you pictures of like being in your general vicinity. So like you'll get like a picture of it like behind you or something like that, and it'll be like at angles that should be impossible to get, and then eventually if you stay exposed to it for enough hours, then it'll start showing up in your peripheral vision or on reflective surfaces and stuff like that outside of the app. And currently it doesn't do anything. It just stands there, maybe waves, maybe moves around or gestures and stuff like that. But currently it doesn't do anything dangerous, but there's not enough information on it. And so far only a handful of people in the storyline have off themselves due to it, while others have kind of coped and adjusted to it being in their lives forever. Yeah, it was really neat. Since the normal pictures of the character didn't really show much of how it's supposed to be design-wise, I just kind of embellished by giving it like ragged cloth and bone claws or like decrepit claws, and I gave it horse hooves because I didn't know what it was supposed to have underneath, or because it's most people go off of it being a canine, even though I think one of the original pictures was using a alligator skull, not a canine skull. But whatever, I think this canine skull is better. But I just made up my own adjustments to the design for the outfit, so I just have fun with it. Definitely one of my favorite ones to dress up as. And then the Skull Maid was just like a bunch of shit that I threw together to make it work. And it's always funny because like women are like, "Oh my god, how can he wear heels? I can't even wear heels." And I just laugh. It's like, well, I wanted to be able to wear this, so I definitely fucking made sure I could wear heels. Although honestly, it's not that hard. It is very easy to wear heels. Yeah, exactly. I almost did the Japanese thing where in Japanese hentai they have marks underneath on the thighs of the slave characters who are used for sex and all that. I almost did that, but I was like, it's not like anyone's gonna see this unless I unless I intentionally show them. And I'm wearing like a black bodysuit, so I can just put like tape on the thighs to represent the markings. But I opted not to because I was like, I'm never gonna be able to. There's never gonna be a situation where I'd be able to use that, so I decided not to. Oh yeah. This conversation took a turn. Well, I got the idea came from My Dress Up Darling, because one of the characters shows that off in the second or third episode, where she has those black markings on her thighs to represent how many times she's done it. And because she was cosplaying as a hentai character, and so that was like, did not know this. Now I do. I mean, I figured that was the case because I've seen the tallies on other content. I just didn't know why the tallies were drawn in that particular formation. But now I know. So part of me almost did that for the maid. But then I was like, no one's ever going to see it. So I didn't bother putting in the effort. But maybe I will next time. Fuck it. It's like I'm already wearing stockings and all that. Might as well do everything else. I don't have a problem. Yeah, because like I can show you on this. Save this. So like normally when we do tallies, it would look like this. Like, you know, the typical way of doing it like that. If I remember correctly, they would do it like this. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's how they did it. Might have been like a different formation, but you know, let me find it because it's not like a risque page or anything. My dress up tallies. There it is. Let me just save it. Come on. To save. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. So like right here, they have the markings in different formations to represent how many times the character has done it. So in her case, it would be... So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah. So it's 5 each. So it's just the same way as doing normal tallies like this. Wrong one. It's the same way as this. It's just in a different formation. So it'd just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in her case, she did it 17 times, according to the cosplay. So yeah. So that would have been fun if I had done that. Maybe I will for this year or whenever I wear the outfit again. It'll be one of those things where I just have it, and if anybody sees it, they'll make them ask me what they are. And I do have a collar with a leash and all that on, so I can make that work. Well, the character that the person from that anime that's dressed up as is supposed to be from a hentai that it's like a hentai game that she plays, and the character she cosplays as is one of her favorite characters, and so she went all out by having the tallies on her thighs, and like none of the characters knew that she had them until a gust of wind blew up her dress, and then they saw that, and the person who was taking her picture, because you know they went to a cosplay convention, the person who took her picture was like, oh shit, and took the picture of it, and the main character, she apologizes, and the photographer's like, oh no, I'll delete them. She's like, yeah, my face didn't look right in that picture, and she's like, and the photographer's like, wait, she was only worried about how her face looked, because she didn't give a shit about the tallies because it was just cosplay. It wasn't like she actually had sex 17 times in a row. But it was the fun part of her committing to the character that made it a great design. Because like the character she cosplays as is really cool, and I love how the character who makes her costume, he did the research on how the character's costume was supposed to look, so he like binged all the content that she gave him. And his grandfather was all like, "Oh shit, is he looking at porn?" Or he sees him looking at porn, basically, because it's a hentai game. But he's not looking at it in the sense of, you know, trying to jerk off to it or, you know, seeing the risque content. He was watching it so he could get the costume right. So I love that he was super committed to that. Okay, last part, and this is going to be the most tedious part out of the whole thing. Yay. But yeah, My Dress Up Darling is really good. I've been reading the manga. And so far, there's not like any like nudity or anything like that. Just a lot of romance-ish stuff. So it's a tame series. I shouldn't care because I can always delete the outside. Just make it work. Can clean up after. Don't really want to disturb that. Trying to like do this part quickly, but at the same time not lose some of the details. Some of these I can speed up. Been watching old Batman episodes from the 90s. It sucks that when the Scarecrow got a redesign, that they only had like 1.5 episodes of him using it, and only one of those episodes does he actually like talk and all that. So when he talked, he was sounding all creepy, and it sucks that he only got to be used in like one episode. And I guess he was supposed to be used in Justice League Unlimited, but there was like some kind of contract rule where he couldn't be used, and it was just really dumb. I was like, that's dumb. They should just let him use it. I think because Batman Begins was coming out at the time. But that's just dumb. They should have used that opportunity to promote the character more. Campfire cooking in another world. I think I've seen clips of that, but I haven't actually watched it. There's been a lot of isekais. Some good, a lot of them kind of meh. Yeah, that's a good explanation. I'll have to check it out. So far, the only isekais that I currently like the most... I mean, technically Digimon's an isekai as well, but I'm not going to count that in the same way. But the ones that I like have been Overlord, Dahak. I would say the first season, or the first part of Sword Art, because after that, the rest just kind of gets whatever. Although Sword Art Gun Gale was really good. It's not an isekai, though. Well, I guess Sword Art's not technically an isekai. No, yeah, I mean it is. You are trapped in a virtual world. But the Gun Gale is not technically a isekai because you're not trapped. You're just playing a game. Bear and Kuma is really good because it's just a girl who plays a game and ends up. I think she gets trapped there if I remember right. She either gets trapped there or she just plays it more than she normally would. I forget the premise of if she got trapped or not. But in that one, she basically plays a new game. It's like she plays a new game, gets basically forced into a class as being a bear, and then all of her powers are bear based. So that one's been fun. What's another good one? I need to watch Cyberpunk. I know it's good. I just haven't taken the time to sit down and watch it. Fourth season of Batman. I'll have to refresh myself on what happens in the fourth season. But yeah, Justice League and Batman Beyond are definitely help things out. Honestly, the only issue I had with later Batman episodes was just some characters should not have gotten the redesigns that they did. And I understand why, to a degree, because like they redesigned them to make them easier to animate. But some characters I was just kind of like, meh. Although they did explain why the characters had their design changes in the comics. So that way there was like a canonical reason to why all the characters changed. But the only character who didn't get any explanation was the Joker. And it was just weird because you go from great design to what the hell to great design again. Because in Justice League, Joker was just like perfect the way they had him designed. But the second design where he just has like the black eyes and stuff like that, it was just like, why? Oh yeah, when he came back for Batman Beyond. Yeah, that was sad what happened to him. Like, he was already a tragic, messed up character, and then they just expanded on that even more. It's like, let the poor man rest. And luckily in Batman Beyond, luckily and unfortunately, that became the case. But yeah, Mr. Freeze is like super well written. Yeah, he came back as the head in the jar, but they also brought him back in Beyond. Yeah. There you already got it. But yeah, when he came back as a head, I was just like, they do explain that why that was the case, because basically his body was falling apart, and so he had to keep himself alive through technology. I like the oddball ones. Tsukimichi. God esteems the MC ugly, so curses him to hang out with monsters and demigons and understand all language except human. Interesting. I don't think I've heard of that one. Shame that they can. Aw. I need to find out if Redo of Healer is going anywhere, and if Interspecies Reviewers has another manga out, because I've been collecting the mangas on that. Interspecies Reviewers is really good. Lots of risque scenes. Especially from Elsa, because she has a big dick. Yeah, Bear and Kuma is really fun. Because, like, in the beginning, she's like, how do I even use my abilities and all that? And she realizes that all of her skills are bear themed, so she has to focus on bear stuff in order for her abilities to work. And then like her items have like very interesting functions. So like she normally dresses up as a black bear because that's where all of her attack abilities come from. But when she's like going to bed, she'll switch her outfit to a white bear outfit, and that gives her like a bunch of like healing and experience boosting stuff while she sleeps. And like she can wear it normally too, but it's just interesting on her bear abilities, giving her different stats and all that. And then she can summon bears and stuff. Kill a orca in the comic. Yeah. There's a number of characters that only show up in the comics, like Mr. Wing. Or I think it's Mr. Wings, I think it is, with an S. Yeah, Mr. Wing. Mr. Wing is just this big giant bird mutant man, but he barely gets to do anything. he's just a big hulking guy that works for the Penguin. It's fucking great. Say, Mr. Wing. It's almost as cool as Captain Clown, the Joker robot. You killed Captain Clown. Joker was so pissed off about that too. He was like, "You killed Captain Clown." But yeah, Batman has really cool villains. That's why Batman, like, when it comes to like character stories and stuff like that, I would say Batman, Spider-Man, the X-Men, and I don't know, there's probably some characters here and there that are really good. But like other characters after them are like usually harder to really relate to or get into, aside from just being like superpowered and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, you can do this, fun. Where's your struggle? That's why Superman is kind of hard to get into nowadays, because it's like, what can't he do? And even though he has weaknesses every once in a while, it's just kind of like they really have to like go out of their way to put him in a vulnerable position to even make him interesting. Or they always have to like up the stakes. Like Superman used to be interesting until they basically said he can do anything. Like the writers have literally said Superman can do anything he needs to do. So if at some point he needs to use super speed to time travel, then by God, he has that power. Oh yeah, the radioactive golem guy, or I forget what his villain name is, but he's basically like the replacement Clayface. Yeah, that guy had a fucked up story. Oh yeah, the Lex Luthor Parasite. Lex Luthor is pretty cool. Parasite is great. Brainiac's great. Yeah, like the villains of Superman are great, but Superman himself is pretty boring. Like they had to make like their villains really fucking interesting in order for Superman to stay relevant in terms of just being having interesting story arcs and all that. Yeah, I agree. Superman does have good villains and stuff like that. Bizarro has always been a fun one. I definitely liked reading Batman Metal, where they had all of the they had like a super team of Batmen from different timelines, where they're from the Dark Universe. So all of their timelines had to do with like just really fucked up scenarios happening. And one of the main ones from that universe was called the Batman Who Laughs, and he's basically a Joker-fied Batman. So he's almost like a fusion of Joker and Batman, and he like basically destroys his world in like a few days or something like that, or even a month or so. Yeah, the evil Aquaman Batman was fucked up too. I think Murder Machine was cool. Where it's basically like Alfred gets killed, and Batman puts his consciousness into nanites, I believe they were, and the nanites were made by Cyborg, I think. And they go crazy and basically become, and Alfred basically goes on like a killing spree where he systematically kills all of Batman's villains, so that way Batman can't be put in harm anymore, because Alfred's main objective was protecting Bruce. And so Batman eventually lets Alfred come back home, and he basically fuses with him, so he becomes Murder Machine, so he's like a cyborg-ish like Batman. Yeah, Batman Metal was really fucking cool. That got me into reading Batman for a while. I was like, oh shit, Batman Metal, and I'm all reading the beginning and premise and stuff of all of it. It was really fucking cool. And it was just like all of the horrible outcomes of each Batman's universe. Like, Red Death is the fusion of Batman and the Flash. And he basically can just kill people just by running past them, because he accelerates their time. So he basically turns them into old people, and they die of old age, like, just from running past them. But in his specific situation, he's still half the Flash, and so the Flash's consciousness is like in there trying to fight against him. So Red Death was interesting. I forget what all their names were, but like the Green Lantern one was interesting too. And the one that turns himself into Doomsday to fight the Superman of that world. Isn't Becky like Alfred to me? I mean, she doesn't wait on me or anything like that. I would say Becky's more of a daughter, like most of my characters are my children. And she's one of the special ones, that's why she's my mascot, and she gets to be my avatar. I would say Becky's more like my Luna from Hell of a Boss. Yeah, when he took the Flash's powers, he literally strapped him to the Batmobile and used the Speed Force to fuse with him. That was a crazy situation. I should reread all those again. That shit was just fun. And then the Batman Who Laughs is just a really messed up character. And then there was also another Batman who was basically the Punisher. And his idea was just kill all the villains. Like, nah, I'm done with this. Kill everybody. Yeah, let me look up all their names real quick, because the team of Batman was really interesting. Batman Metal. Let's see, should show all their names. Don't see them here. I'll have to go on the actual thing. Yeah, because they were called like the Dark Knights. Ah, here we go. Oh wow, they've had more since then. Let me just try to find the main ones. Because you have the Batman Who Laughs, Murder Machine, Red Death. I think Warbat was the Wonder Woman equivalent. Merciless, I think, was the Doomsday version. The Drowned was the Aquawoman one. Dawnbreaker. Which one was that one? Oh yeah, Dawnbreaker was the Green Lantern one. And he was interesting because he basically broke his ring into using dark energy. And I don't know the other ones because they're from other Batman places that I haven't seen. Because I haven't read all of the comics. I've only read the initial ones. What the fuck? There's a Batman that's a dinosaur. They went the Venom route and just did a dinosaur. Fuck it. Like Marvel's Devil Dinosaur. April Fool's joke. Becky becomes and drinks non-alcoholic beer. That'd be funny. Yeah, because he basically used like his powers to just fuck with, to just basically cause nightmares and shit like that. Like he made like nightmare constructs. But yeah, the Green Lantern Batman was fucking trippy. Because he was so grieved with his parents dying that he was just done with villains and stuff like that. So one of the villains he like threw into the fucking atmosphere. Or into orbit or whatever it was. And then he like made constructs of his parents at first, but he obviously realized, you know, they're not real. So he let them like destroy themselves and just fade away. And so he just became fucking violent. Bat Castle was interesting though, because he was basically the Punisher. And I was just like, yeah, why not? Fuck it. It's not like everything Marvel does and everything DC does is exclusive. Like they've taken ideas from each other dozens of times. Hell, even Deadpool and Slade, or Deathstroke, were created by the same person. And that shit's always funny, because you have Slade Wilson and Wade Wilson. Yeah, I always like creepy scenarios and like characters being twisted and becoming evil for a while. That's always been like a fun time. That's why the scene in Return of the Joker when Robin gets turned into a Joker, and he's just sitting there laughing. I always love that scene because I was like, man, that's so fucking creepy. And then him just getting a mental breakdown towards the end. That's why I like doing dark shit in my comics, because it's fun. Yay. I love how people are trying to figure out Emerald right now. Speaking of which, I'm probably going to put a timeout on the public sites so I can let Patreon get further away. Joker with his face cut off was okay at first. Like, I thought it was an interesting take. it kind of lost its appeal like almost immediately. It was interesting though that his face was eventually like starting to decay and rot. Like I thought that was neat, but after that I was just kind of like, okay. When are you guys gonna figure out how to put it back on him? I like this one story of Joker needing a best friend, where he just needs somebody to, just vent to, have a beer with, talk to, and stuff like that. So he just picks some random guy who was, I think he was a reporter at first, before the Joker just fucked up his life. And basically, the Joker kills the guy's best friend to ensure that there was no competition, and then just keeps track of where the guy goes for like the rest of his life. And sometimes he would kill people around him, sometimes he wouldn't. He would just come and chat, and he did that for like years. And the guy like eventually had like a mental breakdown, and he ended up going to Arkham, and he would like hallucinate the Joker chilling with him and talking to him. Yeah, it was like a really short story, but it was really interesting of just the Joker needed a best friend to just chat with. Like the Joker didn't do anything violent to him or anything. He just chatted with him, just told him how his day went and stuff like that. It's like, trying to destroy the town, or introduce laughing gas into whatever, or getting his ass kicked by Batman. He would just chill with the guy and talk. That's all he did, and that was Joker's best friend. It was kind of similar to the cartoon where a guy gets into a fender bender. Well, not fender bender, but like a road rage with the Joker, because like he had like a bad day. He just decides to mouth off to a guy who cuts him off, and the guy who cuts him off happened to be the Joker. So the Joker basically tells him he's gonna follow him around, or he's gonna be his pep. He's gonna ask one request from the guy, and they'll be even. And so the Joker waits years and even keeps tabs on where the guy moves to and all that, to ensure that he gets his favor from the guy. And then finally, the Joker calls him in for his favor, and the guy flies all the way back to Gotham. He's all like, "Okay, what do I got to do?" He's like, "I need you to open this door for Harley." And he's like, "What? That's it?" He's like, "Of course, man. I mean, she's got to bring in the cake, and how is she supposed to do that if and push the cake open the door and push in the cake at the same time?" And the guy is like, "Okay." So he does it, and then he gets stuck. The door had glue on it or whatever, and the guy gets trapped. What do you this of Joker sequel coming out? Oh, there's a sequel coming out of the Joker movie, the one with I forget his name, something Phoenix. That one's getting a sequel. Yeah, him. Joaquin Phoenix. There we go. If it works out well, cool. I mean, I thought the movie they did was interesting. Kind of sucks that they can't really. The only thing that sucks with DC movies is that none of them connect, really. At least currently. Lady Gaga is Harley. Ooh, that'll be interesting. Yeah, if they can make it work, I'm 100% for it. Like, I never have problems with ideas being done, as long as they're executed properly or executed well. Like, they can do any idea they want, just make it work. But don't do something stupid where it's like, oh, we're changing characters around or changing stuff just to appeal to a group that doesn't make sense to appeal to. or like, you know, trying to fill in a checkbox. Just be sincere with what you want to do with the project and go from there. Because it goes a long way when you're fucking genuine with making a project work. And then when you change things that make no sense to change, then that's also an issue. Like, you gotta have people tell you the truth, and have actual people behind projects make things work. Riddler did meet Joker at Arkham at the end of the last Batman movie. Oh, really? I still like Jim Carrey's Riddler. Oh yeah, Ugly Sonic played. I love the fact that they made Ugly Sonic his own separate character and just went all in. Like, the fact that they fixed up the problem of Ugly Sonic from the initial movie, and then proceeded to make it a separate character for the Rescue Rangers movie. Granted, the Rescue Rangers movie was kind of whatever, but I'm glad that they did that as a little joke there. I realize that none of these shadows are going to make any sense, but whatever. They're not really going to be in a background anyway. Then again, the sun could just be in a weird position. Yeah, I haven't seen The Batman. But yeah, like, my problem with DC is just that none of their movies work together. Like, there's no consistency or continuations of a story. It's just, let's reintroduce these characters 50 times. Because they don't have any proper structure. I mean, they're trying to, because I think they hired some people from Marvel to get their shit together. But we'll see. See where that goes. Yeah, the problem with Rescue Rangers is that, like, it was interesting that it was like the premise of them being a TV show was interesting, but then they kind of went too far out of what they were going to do with the movie. So it just kind of like, why? So if they ever do another thing off of Rescue Rangers, hopefully it'll be more to the actual show than just saying they're all actors and, you know, what they did off screen. Because it was fine until it wasn't. That was the problem with that movie. Yeah, it went too meta with it, and then especially what they did with Gadget, it was just kind of like, why? It's like, here's the character that is really well known, or well loved, and all that, and you kind of just ruin it. Yeah, it was like trying to be Roger Rabbit, but lost all the good parts of what Roger Rabbit had. Like, even Cool World was a better Roger Rabbit clone than Rescue Rangers. Although it did amuse me to see My Little Pony in that movie, because I was like, wait, why the fuck did Disney have My Little Pony show up? Like, that was like a weird surprise there. As well as Ugly Sonic, because it's like, okay, whose idea was that? But other than like the little joke stuff here and there, it was just like, the rest of it was just meh. I know Gadget got screwed over, both literally and figuratively, and psychically. But let's see, Suicide Squad movie, Peacemaker. I haven't watched any of that. Blue Beetle, yeah, Blue Beetle looks like it'll be good with Jaime. I like that they showed the original Blue Beetle stuff. Seth Rogen cameos. I need to see Mario movie. I heard people are mixed on it, but I'm just gonna see it for one to support the whole let's have more video game movie stuff, and two, just to see it. Like I don't if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. That's how I'm taking it. And then Five Nights at Freddy's comes out a few days before Halloween, so that's gonna be fun. Looking forward to that. I will hella support that. Yeah, I'm a little iffy on the stories for the games nowadays, but it doesn't mean I wouldn't support the movie. Yeah, they finished filming not too long ago. And from the teaser that they showed, they showed that they're using practical effects, which is great. That was like one of the few things people really wanted to happen. And they built like an actual pizzeria for the movie, from what I hear. The problem with Star Fox is that Miyamoto really hampers a lot of his series, whether it be Mario, and other franchises that he's had, like Zelda and all that. He really fucks with them having story, even though they've said that he's cool with games having story, but that's not always the case, especially in Mario Galaxy's case. But in Star Fox's case, the problem is that they keep rehashing the first Star Fox game ever since Star Fox 64. And every once in a while they'll give him like a proper sequel, but like they keep going back to just doing the same thing over and over. It's like they give him continuation, but then they kind of like take it away. And like Star Fox Zero would have been fine if they just didn't give him shitty controls. So hopefully Star Fox Zero gets ported over to the Switch and just, gets the controls redone. Because that was literally the only problem everybody had, was just, why do we have to use these shitty controls? Well, they almost did something good with Star Fox, because they're letting Platinum work on it, but then Platinum realized they weren't like actually making the game. They were just doing whatever they were being asked to do. They did tease throwing like an Easter egg of Star Fox in Bayonetta, so at least we had that for a bit. But yeah, like I think Star Fox will get there, but it's gonna be a rough time because Nintendo is really fucking picky with their franchises now. Like, it's amazing that fucking Metroid is getting love after all these years, because I guess Dread was just kind of like, okay, here's your one, here's your moment, and luckily Dread did super fucking well. Same thing for Samus Returns. Like, I think because that did well, that they had a chance to make Dread, and Dread did super fantastic. Well, it's because Platinum only like made the game, but they had to follow what Nintendo told them to do. It wasn't Platinum making the game with the ideas that they wanted to do. Because if it was Platinum would have given Star Fox like a dodge counter. Because they technically, because like in the Easter egg in Bayonetta, when you're using the R-Wings, if you dodged at a precise time, you would have the witch time stuff. So, but Platinum wasn't given that kind of control for the Star Fox game. Yeah, they were just there to make it. They weren't there to make their own vision of Star Fox. That was Miyamoto's idea. That's why it was his idea to put in the dumb controls that the game had. Because like everything else about the game was fine, aside from the controls and the repeat of the story being Star Fox 64. That was basically it. Everything else was great. Like the R-Wings were cool. Being able to use the bird form from Star Fox 2 was great. Star Wolf having the wolf or whatever wings that they have, the wolf forms for that were the Wolfins were great. The little changes and stuff that they did with everything else was great. It was just those 2 or 3 things that fucked over the game. And all they have to do is just just make those fixes, port it over to the Switch, and it'll be fine. People will support Star Fox. They just want to support a good game. It was the same problems that Sonic had. People love Sonic. They just want to have a good Sonic game, and fucking finally that happens after a lot of weird game decisions. And now Frontiers did very well. Frontiers did so fucking well that the developers and company didn't think they were gonna have that big of a success rate with that game. Like, it was beyond their expectations. And that's why Sonic is getting all this special treatment. Even with Sonic Origins Plus is having Christian Whitehead's team work on it. And make like fixes and stuff that the original Origins didn't, because they didn't have Christian Whitehead's team work on it. So if that works out, because that game will be coming out soon, then hopefully Sega lets Christian Whitehead's team make another Sonic Mania like game or whatever, because that game did amazing as well. So yeah, it's just let the proper shit happen. And yes, I know Miyamoto's like made those franchises and shit like that with Star Fox and Zelda and Mario and all that, but like he kind of gets in his own way, because he's the reason why Paper Mario doesn't have much story anymore, when Paper Mario is known for having great story. But like the recent game was just so watered down that it was kind of like, why? Because like in the earlier days, Paper Mario, like the first 3 games I think it was, like 2 or 3, Paper Mario had like great, I think it was 3 games. They had a lot of great story and a lot of great character designs and stuff like that, and character developments and stuff, because all the characters were fucking cool. Then later on, all that gets taken away, because Miyamoto, air quotes, suggested that they make those changes to not have as much story. And so, and then like all the like original characters got shafted, because you don't even get to use like the interesting character designs. It's just, nope, here's generic Koopa character. So yeah, like there's just so much interference with certain franchises. Yeah. And it's weird because Miyamoto's cool with other things, because like Starlink, because Nintendo, or whoever at Nintendo played, I think it was Miyamoto, because he played Starlink, he asked if Star Fox could be added to the Switch version, and Star Fox in that version is super awesome. Like, all the characters are nicely designed, their portrayal in the game is fantastic. Being able to use the R-Wing and then move it over to different locations and stuff like that, like flying through space, is fucking cool. And like that's the type of game people want Nintendo to make, but they won't do it for whatever reason. So like, if you want to play an interesting updated version of Star Fox, then you need to get the Star Fox version of Starlink for the Switch. Yeah, like there's so much potential with a lot of these games, and it's very weird that Miyamoto would hinder it so dramatically. And he's usually known for like being like, okay, let's have all these interesting ideas. Like that's cool because he's thinking about the gameplay first, which isn't a bad thing. But then he lets the gameplay take too much of the spotlight. Like obviously gameplay matters a lot when you're playing a game because you know if you can't play it properly, then what's the point? But story is also supposed to go with it. Like, you know, have people, you know, be in depth with the game. And granted, not every game had story thrown at your face. Like obviously when you played Super Mario 1, you're not told why anything is happening because that was all in the manuals and stuff back then. But yeah, like nowadays you kind of need some of that in a lot of cases, or at least like, you know, visually told, you know, what's going on and is there anything interesting going on. Like even with Sonic Mania had very little story explained, but you at least knew what the fuck was going on. Yeah, booklets were great. Just sitting there reading and getting all this like extra context and lore about characters and shit, like Amy being a fortune teller, Robotnik being a feminist, like shit like that. So yeah, it's just interesting on where Miyamoto lets his properties go, or Nintendo in general, because then you have franchises like F-Zero, who have been shafted for a long time. Although they did get a release on the e-store or whatever for the 64 version, so it'd be interesting if the GameCube version shows up. Especially the I think it was the X version or whatever it was, like the arcade version that's in the game. You just have to hack it to play, because that's like literally the best version of F-Zero, because it was an arcade. It was in an arcade style that Sega made, so that's why the game is so fucking awesome. Yeah, I remember those old days of going home and sitting there just reading the book of the game and looking at all the artwork. Hell, I remember specifically of when I had gotten Sonic Adventure 2 and just sitting there reading about Rouge de Bat, and I was like, oh, okay, so Rouge de Bat is the game version of Bunny Rabbit, basically. She was the sex appeal character. So yeah, like sitting there reading the books and stuff, that was great. The problem after that is when games no longer go off of their own lore and they start doing like ridiculous shit that doesn't make sense to do, or like giving characters feats that end up getting either not used or retconned out, such as Blaze the Cat's situation, where it's like, okay, she's from an alternate dimension where she's a princess and she protects the Soul Emeralds. And I'm like, and when she first appeared, I was like, okay, so Blaze the Cat is basically a female version of Sonic and Knuckles fused together with fire powers. That's it. Or you could even say she's like a take of Sally Acorn to a degree. And I'm like, cool. Then Sonic 06 happens, and they say that she's from the future who gets sent into another world after absorbing a fire god. Which would be interesting, I guess, until you realize that that entire storyline gets retconned because Sonic gets rid of the fire god in the past, so the fire god no longer exists. Thus, Blaze would not have gone into the alternate dimension. Thus, she's technically from the future. So none of that made any goddamn sense. And I guess they kind of just they either ignore Sonic 06 at this point, aside from Silver existing, and just retconned all that, and they're just like, okay, we'll just have Blaze from the alternate dimension. And then Eggman Nega was supposed to be from an alternate dimension, but then they say he's from the future, and he's like a relative of Dr. Robotnik trying to like save his family name or some shit, and then he follows Blaze to another dimension or some bullshit. I don't know, whatever the fuck they were doing with that character. And then, of course, the bullshit that happens with Infinite, with his storyline and character development and all that. Like, Sega for a while was just not knowing what the fuck to do with their characters. Which, in like a recent documentary or whatever, it explained that because Sega got bought out by Sammy really didn't give a shit about Sonic, but they knew that Sonic was like the moneymaker, so they gave them like a little bit of a budget, like enough to make a game, like of whatever quality, and then go from there. And Frontiers was like the special case because the person in charge of that game basically had to fight for them to have more development time, because they were supposed to release that game in 2021, and the guy said this game is not ready, like we need way more time, and he had to fight for that to be the case. And now that Sonic did so fucking well, I guess Sega Sammy, or you know, the part of the company that's in control, is now giving them more budget, and that's why we have the DLC coming out. So yeah, like, so much bullshit that game developers have to go through just to put out a proper game, or even try to put out a proper game, because a lot of the time they don't even get to do that. They just have to suck it up that the game that they're working on is going to be shit, and they know it's going to be shit, but there's nothing they can do about it because they're not the ones paying for it or in charge. So that's why indie games get so much praise, because they're given the freedom to work on the shit that they want to work on. Though that's not always the case when they get an investor. Because sometimes they have to do what the investors want. But I think a lot of the times indie creators get to have full reign, because obviously it's their vision that's what brings in the fans and stuff like that. So if companies or investors fuck with that, then they're going to lose money, so they tend to not get in the way of indie creators. But then it makes you wonder why the same idea doesn't happen to AAA companies. And I understand why, because in some cases, because like obviously you have investors who don't even like video games or don't have any actual knowledge of games, and they make complaints and stuff like that, of why are we making this much money, blah 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 blah. And it's like, dude, why would you invest in something you don't know about? But you know, that happens way more than you'd think. And granted, most of the time it's not even them investing, it's like whoever's working for them then invests the money for them, and then they later on follow up. So just a lot of BS. Anyway, sorry I'm ranting for so long. Watch, this is gonna be me in like however many years where I had, or whatever my properties are, get taken up by other companies and characters get fucking watered down for stupid reasons. It's like, okay, Marcy gets fat, but do we really need to get her that fat? Yeah, can we just make her chubby and move on from there? And it's like, oh, Skylar's an interesting character, but he's a little too violent. Can we just make him only do food and not do the whole murder thing? And I'm just like, or here's Blake, but let's just get rid of her scars. Yeah, we don't want to make people uncomfortable or some bullshit. I don't know. That would, at that point, I'm like, why would I even bother trying to work with other people like that? That's why I always joke that Kitsune would be given clothes if I sold her to like another company or worked with another company. It's like, put the clothes on the fox. I'm like, well, I'm out. And if you ever make deals like that where you're like joining with another company with your property or something similar, always make sure that in your contract you have the ability to have like 1 or 2 vetoes. Like you'll have no idea how important that is. Like you basically have the power to say no to something and just sit on it. Sit on it for the longest time until you see something truly stupid and take that shit out. I forget what situation it was, but there was like one guy who had that power to say no to something. I'll have to look it up, but I can't remember if it was like a game or something like that. But they I think they like wanted to put in like microtransactions or something similar to that, and that was like the guy's one veto that he got to use, and said no to that. And because it was in his contract that he had the ability to do that, they had to like change how they were gonna do get financial shit with the game. So I think DLC was fine, but he wasn't gonna allow microtransactions and stuff like that. He didn't want no gacha bullshit. Or like loot box like stuff. So yeah, if you ever do stuff like that, definitely make sure you have that in your contract to say no to something. That and royalties. Make sure you get royalties, because you do not want to only get like a flat fee of something. Because that's what happened with the guy who created The Witcher, I believe it was, where at the time he sold his property for like a flat fee, or he sold the license for like a flat fee, and then when The Witcher was getting more popular due to the games, he wanted more money, and so he was trying to like, I can't remember if he sued or whatever bullshit, he was trying to like get a renegotiation of the license, when they're like, no, you sold it for this much, so we get to use it for whatever we want, because that was the point. Because I think at the time the guy didn't think The Witcher series was going to be that popular. So he was just trying to get whatever money he could at the time. The dragon character in ATC 29, let me see. That's the cast. 29. Oh, that is Revka. Yeah, it's written like this. It's either going to be written like that, or I might add an H at the end. Or maybe even an apostrophe like this. So one or the other, whatever. When I get around to making his artwork, then I'll give him a proper spelling. But yeah, that's Revka, the dragon god, who's pretty big dick. He's just an asshole. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna create dragons and then fuck with them for a few centuries. Just because I can. And he's technically a banished god. Cell shading is definitely one of the styles I'd be pretty okay not doing anymore. It's not super bad, it's just time consuming. And yet it makes you wonder, okay, if it's so bad, why am I doing it? It's like, well, good question. Mostly it was just to give another option so that I could have somewhat cheap prices, but like I said, I'm probably going to change the way I do this, or most likely going to, by using the auction. Save. Damn, it's already been 3 hours, or almost 3 hours. Well, it will be in a half an hour. It's close to 3 hours. Wanted to give the dude an embarrassing name. Oh, that sounds interesting. It's like, oh yeah, I know about this dragon. Like, oh, he's one of those old gods or something. Yeah, makes sense. Almost done. Luckily the background is just a simple background, so I don't have to go crazy over this one. And only one more for this person and their commissions are done. Then I just have 3 more from a person with some... Part of me makes me wonder if it was the same person, they just used different account names, but who knows. Because they were using similar methods of showing references, but who knows, it could just be a common thing. But yeah, just one more person for the initial commissions, and I can go back to finishing the others, and then we're done. Done with all the commissions. And then it would be God knows how long before I do commissions again. I mean, I don't know. I may not have a problem doing one at a time if I do it the auction way. So that may not be an issue. But definitely going to wait until, 1, I get further along with the comics, and 2, get through all the content for Patreon. For like the poll winners and all that. The fake mustache trick. Yeah, I mean, it could have been, because like the way they were giving me references, I noticed were pretty similar. But at the same time, I can't just assume that it's the same person based off of just that. It could have just been, oh, here's the way that they use references. I think they know each other. If from what I noticed, because I know one of them had the other person in their like friends list or whatever, or like an acquaintance. So, because I was like curious about that, I was like, I wonder if they're like friends or something, and then I noticed that they were like in the friends list and stuff. So I was like, okay, maybe they're just friends, and that's why they have similar methods. And so they just kind of work together to get the commission spots or whatever the case is. which is perfectly fine. Like, you know, they fairly got their spots. It was just interesting because I was like, huh, these two people have the same reference method. But yeah, if that was the mustached case, then I was like, well, I've been done duped. I gosh darn done duped. Oh yeah. I have no idea. That was just the way the person commissioned me to draw those. So it looked like it was a visual novel, at least. And that's how I was assuming. Just based on the way they asked me to make those. So who knows? But it just looked like it. Looked like visual novel stuff. That is the wrong button. Ooh. So now, last but not least, just put in some highlights. Yeah, like I don't mind the shading. It's just time consuming, and sometimes I start getting a little impatient with it. Which reminds me, one day I need to finish off that Sonic fan comic and just put it out. Just chip away at it. I think at some point I kind of, like, not exactly lost interest, but I feel the way I was doing it was starting to not be good. Or at least, I don't know, I feel I can do better nowadays. But I don't like it not being done, so I'll try to put in some effort to finish it off. Yeah, I like the character in the middle. Just doing some highlights here and there. I don't want to ruin it. Actually, it should be more like this. Do. Could do that in the eyes a bit. Might as well give some muscle points. I'm just trying not to go too crazy with it. He says as he starts going crazy with it. I think just these are fine. I think I just want them in specific spots. Yeah, that should be fine. Do that. Some on her titties. Can barely even see this, but I'm putting it there anyway. See them, and I think she's fine. Leave the rest out. Yeah, let's do some on her eyes. Okay, last one. No, I think I'm good. Do whatever. But yeah, happy Friday. But yeah, sorry it's been taking so long with these commissions. I definitely did not foresee it taking me this long to get through them. But I'll definitely have to try to do something to make up for it. If possible. Well, yeah, but then there's the people from Patreon that I gotta pay attention to as well. Because Patreon's been lacking in content for last month and some of this month. Well, the beginning of this month. So definitely need to do something about that. But that's why I'm trying to speed up the whole voting process thing for this month. Right there. Bikini's a little shiny. Okay. Let me just make sure they're clean. So they are done. All that's missing is the whites in their eyes, or the highlights. And then I just need to do the dialogue. But let me do the background first. Think I might call it once I'm done. And I'll just move on to working on other stuff tonight. I have to see how they want the next commission anyway. There we go, that's better. It's almost 3 in the morning for you. To save. Alright, so what are they supposed to be saying? Make sure I'm saving my shit, because I do not want to do all this over again. Just based on what they say. can go over here. Nah, I think it's better if I put this one over here. That way it just follows them around. So you go from point A to point B. There we go. And let's add some shadows, just so they're not standing in the void. Or standing on nothing. Something simple. And it is done. PowerPoint. Okay, so I am done now for the night. Thank you everybody for coming for my random late night thing. Debating on if I'll still stream today or later today, but if I don't, then I'll just explain, because since I stream now. But if I'm willing to do it, then I'll do it. But if not, I will see you guys Saturday. I will not. Well, no, because Sunday would be. On Saturday. I might change the time. I don't know when, because I'm getting my haircut, so that way I can wear my costume and all that. But I'll just try to let you guys know when I'm going to be streaming on Saturday. But for Sunday, depends on how long I'm gonna be doing the Easter stuff. I should still be able to stream at night, but if not, then I'll just see you guys later on that after that time. But yeah, so this commission's done. I will send it to the person who commissioned it. And if they give me the go-ahead, of course, I'll post it like the others. Yeah, I'm just gonna probably take a short break and then move on to the next commission so I can try to hammer them all out and be done. But yeah, I will see you guys later, okay? Bye-bye.